What makes you attractive and unspokenly irresistible without saying a word? After 65, it's no longer about youth, beauty, or trying to impress. It's about something deeper, more magnetic, and far more powerful. The truth is, real attraction isn't about what you wear or how you look. It's about how you carry yourself, how you think, and how you make others feel. People who are silently captivating have mastered certain qualities that make them unforgettable. They don't beg for attention, they don't try too hard, and yet others are naturally drawn to them. And the best part? These traits have nothing to do with age. They are things you can cultivate at any stage of life. In this video, we're going to explore 6 ways to become silently attractive and unspokenly irresistible between the ages of 65 and 80. These are the qualities that make people gravitate toward you, respect you, and genuinely enjoy your presence without you having to say a word. If you've ever wondered how to remain intriguing, magnetic, and deeply valued, you won't want to miss this. Stay with me until the very end, because the last one is something that most people completely overlook. And yet it's the one thing that can set you apart in a way that feels effortless. If you've ever wanted to feel more confident, respected, and naturally captivating, this is for you. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you enjoy this video, please type 1 in the comments. If you don't like it, type 0 in the comments to let me know, so I can make better videos for you. Now let's get started. Number 1, a quiet confidence that speaks louder than words. There is something undeniably magnetic about a person who carries themselves with quiet confidence. Not arrogance, not the need to prove anything. Just a calm, unshakable self-assurance that makes people instinctively pay attention. This kind of confidence doesn't come from talking about yourself or trying to impress others. It comes from knowing who you are and being completely at peace with it. People who possess this quality don't seek validation from others because they already validate themselves. They don't try to dominate conversations or prove their worth because they already know their worth. And that kind of quiet strength, it's irresistible. Take someone like Richard, a 74-year-old former business owner. He doesn't walk into a room trying to be the center of attention, but somehow people notice him anyway. He never raises his voice to be heard, yet when he speaks, people listen. He doesn't dress in a way that screams for attention, yet he always looks put together, with an effortless kind of presence. What makes him so captivating? It's his energy, his self-possession, his quiet, unforced confidence. And here's the thing. This kind of presence has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with how you feel about yourself. People who are silently attractive don't need to prove their importance because they already know their own value. They don't need to overshare, over-explain, or overcompensate because they are already secure in themselves. The most attractive people, especially as they get older, are the ones who move through life with a sense of inner certainty. They've been through enough to know what matters and what doesn't. They don't chase approval, they don't force anything, and because of that, their presence alone carries weight. So how do you cultivate this kind of quiet confidence? First, own your strengths and accept your imperfections. Confidence doesn't mean being perfect. It means being completely comfortable with who you are. Second, speak less and observe more. Truly confident people don't rush to fill every silence. They listen. They choose their words carefully, and that makes what they say carry more weight. Third, stand and move with purpose. The way you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself, the way you make eye contact, it all matters. People sense when someone is comfortable in their own skin. Confidence isn't about being loud. It's about being anchored. And when you cultivate this kind of presence, you don't have to do anything extra to attract people. They will simply be drawn to you. Number 2, the power of saying less and meaning more. There is something undeniably captivating about a person who doesn't feel the need to fill every silence. Someone who speaks with intention, listens with purpose, and knows that words carry more weight when they are used sparingly. The most silently attractive people are those who understand that mystery is powerful, that leaving some things unsaid often makes them even more intriguing. In a world where people are constantly talking to be heard, the ones who stand out are the ones who don't rush to speak. They don't feel the need to over-explain, overshare, or dominate conversations. Instead, they listen intently, process fully, and speak only when they truly have something to say. And when they do, people pay attention because they know that every word is thoughtful and intentional. Take someone like Evelyn, a 77-year-old retired teacher. She doesn't engage in gossip. She doesn't force her opinions into every discussion. But when she does speak, her words have weight. She never wastes words, and because of that, people hang on to everyone she says. Her presence alone commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she carries herself with an aura of quiet wisdom. People who are silently irresistible know that there is power in leaving some things to the imagination. They don't reveal everything about themselves all at once. They let people discover them slowly, piece by piece, creating an air of depth and complexity that draws others in. And the more someone wants to know, the more intriguing they become. So how can you cultivate this kind of presence? First, slow down before you speak. Instead of immediately responding, take a moment to process your thoughts. This makes your words more meaningful. Second, listen more than you talk. People love being around someone who makes them feel heard. Third, embrace the power of mystery. You don't need to explain everything about yourself. Allow people to discover you over time. Silence, when used well, is magnetic. It creates curiosity. It makes people lean in, and it leaves an impression that lingers long after the conversation has ended. If you've ever known someone whose quiet presence made them unforgettable, let me know by commenting number 2 below. Your engagement helps me continue creating content that supports and uplifts you. Number 3, the effortless elegance of self-respect. There is nothing more silently attractive than a person who respects themselves. Someone who carries themselves with dignity, who sets boundaries without guilt, and who moves through life knowing their own worth. This kind of unspoken self-respect is magnetic. It makes people notice you, admire you, and treat you with the same level of respect you demand from yourself. Self-respect isn't about being standoffish or difficult. It's about knowing what you will and will not accept. It's about valuing your time, energy, and presence. People who lack self-respect are often too eager to please, too willing to compromise their own needs for others, and too afraid to say no. But the ones who are quietly irresistible are the ones who know that they don't need to prove their worth to anyone. Take someone like James, a 72-year-old former architect. There was a time in his life when he said yes to everything, helping people when he was too tired, listening to complaints he didn't want to hear, allowing others to drain his energy without giving anything in return. But over time, he realized something: his time was valuable, and it was okay to protect it. Now he sets clear boundaries, not in a harsh way, but in a way that lets people know that he values himself. And the result? People respect him more, seek his company more, and admire the quiet strength he carries. Here's what makes self-respect so powerful: when you respect yourself, others take notice. You no longer have to chase approval, beg for attention, or overextend yourself. Instead, people naturally feel drawn to you because they sense your strength, your confidence, and your deep-rooted sense of worth. So how do you embody this kind of effortless elegance? First, protect your energy. If something drains you, it's okay to walk away. If someone constantly takes and never gives, it's okay to limit your time with them. Second, say no without guilt. The most respected people are the ones who don't feel the need to justify or apologize for protecting their peace. Third, carry yourself like someone who knows their own worth. Walk with intention, speak with certainty, and never feel the need to explain why you deserve to be treated well. People can sense when you respect yourself. It shows in how you talk, how you move, and how you handle yourself in every situation. And that quiet, unwavering self-respect, it's irresistible. Number 4, the undeniable allure of being fully present. In a world where people are constantly distracted, thinking about what's next, scrolling through their phones, half listening to conversations, the most silently attractive individuals are the ones who know how to be fully present. They don't rush through interactions, they don't let their minds wander, and they don't treat conversations like something to get through. Instead, they give their full attention, making the person in front of them feel like the most important person in the room. Presence is rare, and because it's rare, it's magnetic. When someone is truly present, you feel it. You notice the way they listen without interrupting, the way their eyes stay focused on you instead of darting around the room, the way they react in real time instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. And that kind of attention, it makes people feel deeply seen and valued. Take someone like Margaret, a 68-year-old retired writer. When she talks to people, she isn't thinking about what she's going to say next. She's absorbing every word, every expression, every detail of the conversation. She doesn't cut people off, she doesn't check her watch, and she doesn't rush to fill silences. Instead, she listens, truly listens. And because of that, people open up to her. They feel comfortable around her. They seek out her presence, not because she demands attention, but because she makes others feel like they matter. Being fully present isn't just about listening, it's about how you engage with life itself. People who radiate this quality don't just exist in the background of their own lives. They savor their morning coffee. They notice the way the sunlight hits the trees. They appreciate the small, beautiful moments that so many others rush past. And because they experience life more deeply, they naturally become more intriguing, more peaceful, and more irresistible to be around. So how can you cultivate this presence? First, put away distractions when talking to others. Give people your full attention. It's one of the rarest and most valuable gifts you can offer. Second, slow down and truly experience the moment you're in. Whether it's a conversation, a meal, or a walk, allow yourself to be fully immersed in it. Third, make eye contact and listen with intention. When people feel truly heard, they feel drawn to you in a way they can't explain. Being present isn't about doing more, it's about being more. And the people who master this, they are unforgettable. If this resonates with you, if you believe that presence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have, let me know by commenting number 4 below. Your engagement helps me continue creating content that supports and uplifts you. Number 5, the quiet strength of emotional composure. There is something incredibly attractive about a person who remains calm and composed, no matter what is happening around them. Not cold, not distant, but emotionally steady in a way that makes others feel safe in their presence. This is a kind of silent strength that cannot be faked. It comes from a deep sense of inner stability and self-awareness. And when you have it, people notice. In a world where many people are quick to anger, easily offended, or constantly caught up in drama, the most irresistible individuals are those who refuse to be emotionally reactive. They don't let small inconveniences ruin their day. They don't get pulled into meaningless arguments. They don't give their energy to negativity. Instead, they know how to pause, process, and respond with thoughtfulness instead of impulse. Take someone like Walter, a 76-year-old retired firefighter. He has seen it all: stressful situations, unexpected challenges, difficult people. And yet, no matter what, he never lets the chaos around him control his emotions. If someone is rude to him, he doesn't react with anger, he remains calm. If something doesn't go his way, he doesn't complain, he finds a solution. And because of this, people gravitate toward him. They admire him. They feel secure in his presence because they know that no matter what happens, he will not be shaken. Here's what most people don't realize: emotional composure is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. When you are steady, when you do not let the world dictate your emotions, you exude a quiet confidence that is impossible to ignore. So how do you develop this level of composure? First, learn to pause before reacting. When something upsets you, take a breath. Give yourself a moment before responding. It will change everything. Second, don't let small things steal your peace. Not every inconvenience is worth your frustration. Protect your energy by choosing your battles wisely. Third, carry yourself with the mindset that nothing can shake you. Because when you believe it, others will sense it too. A person who remains calm, steady, and in control of their emotions stands out in a way that is both powerful and deeply attractive. They don't have to prove their strength, it speaks for itself. Number 6, the magnetic appeal of a life well lived. There is something undeniably irresistible about a person who has lived a full life and carries the wisdom of their experiences with quiet confidence. Not someone who boasts about their past, but someone who wears their history like a well-fitted coat, comfortable, natural, and with quiet dignity. This kind of person doesn't need to seek attention because their very presence tells a story. As we get older, we have a choice. We can either dwell on the past, wishing things had been different, or we can embrace everything we've lived through and allow it to shape us into someone with depth, character, and quiet allure. The most silently attractive individuals are the ones who have done exactly that. They have gathered wisdom, they have learned from their mistakes, and they have developed a kind of peace that only comes from a life well lived. Take someone like Helen, an 81-year-old former artist. She doesn't talk much about her past unless someone asks. But when she does, her stories are rich, vivid, and full of wisdom. She has seen the world change. She has loved deeply. She has experienced loss, and yet she carries it all with grace. She doesn't dwell on regrets. She doesn't try to relive her youth. And she doesn't compete with younger generations because she knows that her value lies in who she is now, not who she used to be. And because of that, she is utterly captivating. This kind of presence is rare. Many people as they age become bitter, resentful, or stuck in nostalgia. But the ones who are truly magnetic are the ones who embrace every season of life with appreciation. They are not trying to hold on to the past. They are fully living in the present, knowing that every wrinkle, every laugh line, every experience has made them someone worth knowing. So how do you embody this? First, own your story. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Your experiences have shaped you, and that alone makes you interesting. Second, never stop learning. The most attractive people are the ones who stay curious about life, no matter their age. Third, live with a sense of gratitude. People who appreciate life, no matter what stage they're in, radiate a quiet beauty that draws others in. The truth is, age does not take away your attractiveness, it refines it. The more you embrace who you are, the more naturally magnetic you become. And that is what makes a person silently irresistible. If this speaks to you, if you believe that life experience is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have, let me know by commenting number 6 below. Your engagement helps me continue creating content that supports and uplifts you. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on these 6 qualities. They have nothing to do with youth, flashy appearances, or trying to impress others. Instead, they are about how you carry yourself, how you treat people, and how you live your life. The most silently attractive and unspokenly irresistible people are the ones who don't chase attention. They simply exist in a way that makes others take notice. These traits aren't about changing who you are. They're about embracing your natural presence in a way that draws people toward you effortlessly. A person with quiet confidence, emotional composure, deep self-respect, and an appreciation for life is more captivating than any trend or passing fad. If you recognize yourself in any of these 6 qualities, or if you feel inspired to cultivate them more in your own life, know that you are already on the right path. Being magnetic isn't about trying harder. It's about letting go of what doesn't serve you and stepping into the kind of presence that naturally commands attention. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 6 qualities resonated with you the most? Do you see them in yourself? Or is there one you want to develop more? Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly enjoy reading your insights and experiences. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. There comes a time in life when the roles between parents and children start to shift. You spend decades raising them, guiding them, sacrificing for them. But then one day, you realize something has changed. Maybe they ignore your advice. Maybe they dismiss your opinions. Maybe they talk down to you, or worse, they make you feel like a burden, and it hurts. If your children have started treating you with less respect than you deserve, you might feel frustrated, even angry. You might want to remind them of everything you've done for them, of the years you spent putting them first. But here's the truth: getting angry won't fix it. In fact, it often makes things worse. Instead, there's a much more effective way to regain their respect, without fighting, without arguments, and without resentment. Today, I'm going to share 6 things you can do when your children don't respect you. These are powerful shifts, simple changes in the way you respond, that can completely transform the way they see you. Some of these might surprise you, but if you stay until the end, you'll discover how to regain your place as a respected, valued figure in their lives. Now let's get started. Action 1, stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes parents make, especially as they grow older, is trying too hard to please their children. Maybe you've noticed yourself doing it. You go out of your way to accommodate them. You say yes when you want to say no. You put their needs ahead of your own, hoping that if you just do enough, they'll appreciate you more. But here's the painful truth. The more you chase their approval, the less they respect you. Respect isn't earned through self-sacrifice. It's earned through self-respect. If you're always bending over backward, always giving in, always trying to keep the peace, what you're really teaching them is that your feelings come second. And once they start believing that, it's easy for them to take you for granted. I once knew a woman named Margaret, a strong, independent lady in her younger years. But as she got older, she started letting her children make all the decisions. She rearranged her schedule around their needs, kept her opinions to herself, and even ignored the way they spoke down to her. "I just want to keep the family together," she told me once. But what happened? Her children stopped valuing her. They saw her as someone who would always adjust, always agree, always stay silent. She thought she was keeping the peace, but what she was really doing was losing her voice. If your children don't respect you, the first step isn't to demand it, it's to stop acting like you need it. Set boundaries. Say no when you need to. Speak your mind, even if they don't like what you have to say. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, they'll start seeing you differently. And in time, that respect will come back to you. Action 2, don't argue, lead by example. When your children dismiss your opinions, talk over you, or treat you with disrespect, your first instinct might be to argue, to remind them of everything you've done, to demand that they listen. But let me tell you, something that will save you years of frustration, arguing never works. Think about it. When was the last time you convinced someone to respect you by fighting for it? Respect isn't won through words, it's earned through presence, through the way you carry yourself, through the way you respond when others try to test your patience. If you meet disrespect with anger, all you're doing is confirming what they already believe, that they have power over you. I knew a man named Frank, a retired teacher who had spent his life leading a classroom with confidence. But at home, his grown children had started treating him like an afterthought. They ignored his advice, dismissed his concerns, and sometimes even laughed when he tried to correct them. At first, he argued back, trying to prove he still deserved their respect. But the more he fought, the worse things got. Then one day, Frank made a change. Instead of arguing, he started listening, really listening. He stopped chasing respect with words, and instead carried himself like a man who already had it. He spoke calmly, with wisdom, without the need to win. And slowly, his children started noticing. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, who didn't need to prove himself, who simply was a figure of strength. If your children don't respect you, don't fight them for it. Show them what respect looks like by the way you treat yourself. Keep your dignity, speak with confidence, and most importantly, never lower yourself to their level. Because when you hold your ground with grace, they will feel it, and in time, they'll follow your lead. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Action 3, withdraw your emotional dependence. One of the hardest lessons to learn as you grow older is that you can't depend on your children for emotional fulfillment. You may love them deeply, and you may want them to love and respect you in return. But the moment they sense that you need them to feel valued, the power in the relationship shifts. Here's the reality, people, even your own children. Respect those who are emotionally independent. When you rely on them for validation, affection, or attention, it puts pressure on them. And instead of feeling grateful, they start feeling burdened. They might pull away. They might start treating you with impatience or even irritation. And the more you chase their love, the less freely they give it. I once knew a woman named Helen. She was a kind-hearted mother who had given everything to her children. As they grew older and got busy with their own lives, she found herself waiting by the phone, hoping they'd call. When they didn't, she called them instead, often, too often. She reminded them how much she missed them, how she wished they would visit more. But instead of bringing them closer, it pushed them away. They started seeing her calls as an obligation instead of something they looked forward to. Then one day, Helen did something different. She stopped waiting. She stopped calling first. Instead, she started focusing on herself, picking up new hobbies, going out with friends, taking care of her own happiness. And something surprising happened. Her children started calling more. They started respecting her time, seeing her as someone with a full life of her own. The lesson is simple. The less you depend on your children to make you feel needed, the more they will start valuing your presence. When you show them that you can stand strong on your own, they will start respecting you, not out of obligation, but because they genuinely admire the life you've built for yourself. Action 4, set boundaries and enforce them. One of the biggest reasons children lose respect for their parents is because the parents let them. If you allow your children to talk to you disrespectfully, dismiss your opinions, or treat you as if your time and feelings don't matter, they will keep doing it. Not because they are bad people, but because people, especially family, will always treat you the way you allow them to. Setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting off your children or creating conflict. It means calmly and firmly deciding what kind of behavior you will and will not accept. And more importantly, it means enforcing those boundaries when they are crossed. I remember a man named Robert, a retired businessman who had spent his life running a company with discipline and confidence. But when it came to his adult children, he struggled. They interrupted him when he spoke, dismissed his concerns, and even criticized the way he lived his life. At first, he tolerated it. He told himself it wasn't worth the fight. But over time, he realized that every time he stayed silent, he was teaching them that their behavior was acceptable. So one day, Robert changed his approach. When his son interrupted him, he calmly said, "I'll continue speaking when you're ready to listen." When his daughter dismissed his opinion, he simply replied, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect you to respect me." And when they continued to push his limits, he made it clear if they couldn't treat him with basic respect, he wouldn't be spending time with them. And you know what happened? They started listening. At first they resisted, but over time, they realized their father wasn't backing down. They saw that he valued himself enough to demand respect. And because of that, they started giving it to him. If your children don't respect you, it's time to ask yourself, are you allowing it? Because if you don't set boundaries, they won't set them for you. And if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Action 5, stop giving without appreciation. One of the quickest ways to lose respect is to keep giving to people who don't appreciate it. And as parents, we do this more often than we realize. We give our time, our energy, our support, even when it's not acknowledged, even when it's taken for granted, even when we're met with nothing but entitlement. But here's the truth. When you give to someone who doesn't appreciate it, you don't build love. You don't build respect. You build expectation. They stop seeing your kindness as something valuable and start seeing it as something they are entitled to. And the moment you stop, they don't feel grateful. They feel inconvenienced. I once knew a man named George, a father who had always been generous with his children. He helped them financially whenever they needed it, dropped everything to assist them, and even rearranged his life to accommodate their needs. But instead of gratitude, he was met with complaints. They didn't say thank you. They expected more. And the worst part, when he finally needed their help, they were too busy. Then one day, George made a change. He stopped overextending himself. He stopped offering help before it was even asked. And most importantly, he started saying no when he needed to. At first, his children were frustrated. They didn't understand why he wasn't bending over backward for them anymore. But over time, something shifted. They started valuing his time. They started appreciating his efforts, because suddenly they realized that his generosity wasn't unlimited. It was a gift, not a guarantee. If you feel like your children don't respect your time, your effort, or your kindness, take a step back. Ask yourself, are you giving more than you should? And if so, what would happen if you stopped? Because when you teach people that your generosity is conditional on respect, they will start treating it that way. Action 6, build a life outside of them. One of the most powerful ways to regain your children's respect is to show them that your happiness doesn't revolve around them. As parents, it's natural to devote ourselves to our children, to make them the center of our lives. But as we get older, that dynamic shifts. And if you've spent your entire life prioritizing them, they may start seeing you as someone who has nothing else going on. People respect those who have their own purpose, their own interests, their own sense of fulfillment. And if your children see that you rely on them for entertainment, validation, or meaning, they might start feeling suffocated, or worse, they might start seeing you as someone who has no life of their own. I knew a woman named Eleanor, a widow in her late 70s. After her husband passed, she poured everything into her children's lives, checking in constantly, giving advice they didn't ask for, expecting them to fill the space that her husband once did. But instead of drawing them closer, it pushed them away. They visited less, their calls became shorter, and Eleanor felt more alone than ever. Then she made a choice. She joined a book club. She started traveling with friends. She volunteered at a local community center. She stopped making her children the center of her world, and something incredible happened. Her children started reaching out more. They were curious about what she was doing. They admired her independence. They respected her. If your children don't respect you, ask yourself, do they see you as someone with a full, meaningful life? Or do they see you as someone waiting around for their attention? Because when you show them that you are living, not just existing, They will start seeing you in a completely different light. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Final thoughts. Respect is not something you can demand from your children. It's something you inspire through the way you carry yourself, through the way you set boundaries, and through the way you live your life. If they have started treating you with less care, less consideration, or less respect, don't waste your energy getting angry. Instead, shift your approach. Stop chasing their approval, because the less you need it, the more they'll give it. Lead by example, because your dignity speaks louder than your words. Withdraw your emotional dependence, because the more self-sufficient you are, the more they'll respect your presence. Set boundaries, because people will only treat you as well as you require them to. Stop giving without appreciation, because when generosity is taken for granted, it loses its value. And most importantly, build a life outside of them, because people respect those who have their own purpose, their own joy, and their own sense of fulfillment. If you do these things, something incredible will happen. Your children will start seeing you in a different light, not as someone waiting for their attention, but as someone who commands respect simply by being who they are. And in time, that respect will come back to you, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it.
Hello there. If you're watching this right now, chances are you or someone you love has been doing their best to stay healthy in their golden years. Maybe that means walking every day around the neighborhood. Or maybe it's making sure you get 10,000 steps in before dinner. If so, I want to begin by saying you're doing something right. But I also want to offer you something better. My name is Dr. James Hall. I'm a geriatric physician with over 30 years of experience helping older adults stay strong, independent, and full of life well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. I've seen what works, and more importantly, what doesn't. And today, I want to share with you something that could change the way you think about aging forever. The big misconception. For decades, the golden rule has been, just keep walking. And don't get me wrong, walking is a beautiful, simple, and accessible form of movement. It gets your heart pumping, your legs moving, and your mind relaxed. It's a fantastic starting point. But here's what most people don't realize. After age 70, walking alone is not enough. In fact, if it's your only form of exercise, it might actually be holding you back. That may sound surprising or even frustrating, especially if you've been disciplined about getting your daily steps in. But stick with me. I'm not here to take walking away from you. I'm here to add something back. Something deeper, stronger, and more powerful for your long-term health. The silent decline that walking can't stop. Let me tell you something that every geriatric doctor knows, but most older adults are never told. There are 5 silent threats that begin to accelerate after age 70. Muscle loss, balance instability, joint stiffness, postural weakening, overuse strain on knees and hips. Walking helps with some of these, but it leaves critical gaps. Gaps that, if ignored, can lead to falls, pain, hospital visits, and the slow fading of independence. You may feel okay today. You may say, I'm still moving fine. But aging doesn't shout, it whispers. It whispers when getting out of bed feels a little harder. It whispers when you start using your hand to push off the couch. It whispers when a short walk leaves your knees aching or your back sore. And by the time that whisper becomes a scream, often in the form of a fall or a health scare, recovery is slower, harder, and more painful. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be this way. New standard, 5 pillars of healthy aging. Doctors today are no longer just telling older adults to keep moving. We're telling them to move smarter, to focus on 5 essential areas of fitness that protect your independence, your energy, and even your brain health. Over the next hour of this video, I'm going to guide you through these 5 pillars. Strength training, to prevent muscle loss. Balance exercises, to avoid life-altering falls. flexibility and mobility work, to keep your joints pain-free, core and posture movements, to protect your spine and confidence, low-impact joint-safe movement, to reduce wear and tear. These are not complex. They don't require a gym. They don't demand perfection. They just require intention. A small daily choice to support the only body you've got. And I promise you, your body is still capable of adapting, growing, and even improving, no matter your age. The new standard, 5 pillars of healthy aging. Doctors today are no longer just telling older adults to keep moving. We're telling them to move smarter, to focus on 5 essential areas of fitness that protect your independence, your energy, and even your brain health. Over the next hour of this video, I'm going to guide you through these 5 pillars. Strength training, to prevent muscle loss. Balance exercises, to avoid life-altering falls. Flexibility and mobility work, to keep your joints pain-free. Core and posture movements, to protect your spine and confidence. Low-impact joint-safe movement, to reduce wear and tear. These are not complex. They don't require a gym. They don't demand perfection. They just require intention. A small daily choice to support the only body you've got. And I promise you, your body is still capable of adapting, growing, and even improving, no matter your age. What this video isn't. This video is not about fear. It's about power. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what works. And it's not about blaming you for walking. It's about celebrating that habit while helping you build a foundation that goes deeper. Because you deserve more than just steps. You deserve strength, balance, comfort, and freedom. So if you've ever felt frustrated that aging feels harder than it should, if you've ever thought, I just don't feel as strong as I used to and I don't know why, or if you're simply curious to know what science says you really need after 70, then keep watching. This video may be the most important one you see this year. Pillar number 1. Strength training, your first line of defense against aging. Let's begin with what I believe is the single most overlooked and most powerful form of exercise for people over 70. Strength training. I know what you might be thinking. Strength training? At my age? Isn't that for young people at the gym, lifting heavy weights? Absolutely not. In fact, strength training becomes more important as you age less. Let me explain why. What happens to muscle after 70? After the age of 30, your body begins to lose muscle mass gradually. By age 70, you may have lost up to 25–30% of your total muscle mass without even noticing. That process is called sarcopenia. And it's not just about getting weaker or slower, it's about losing one of the key protectors of your life, your muscle system. Muscles don't just help you lift things. They help you stand up from a chair, climb stairs, carry groceries, maintain balance, protect your joints, and even support your metabolism and brain function. When you lose muscle, everything becomes harder. And the worst part? Most people don't realize it's happening until it's already caused real damage. The hidden danger of feeling fine. Let me introduce you to a former patient of mine, Robert, age 74. Robert walked every day. He was proud of that. He felt fine until one day he tried to lift a small box of books from the floor and couldn't. His arms shook. His back tensed. And when he tried to stand up from the couch later that week, he realized he needed both hands and a little push just to get moving. That's when he came to me. Not because he was in pain, but because he felt off. We did some basic muscle strength assessments, and the results shocked him. His lower body strength had dropped by nearly 40% in the last decade. His grip strength, a major predictor of longevity, was well below average. And the truth is, If Robert didn't start working on his strength right then, the road ahead would only get harder. What counts as strength training? Now, let me ease your mind. Strength training doesn't mean going to the gym and bench pressing 200 pounds. It means using progressive resistance, applying just enough challenge to your muscles so they adapt, strengthen, and grow. Here's what that might look like for someone in their 70s. Doing chair squats, sitting and standing from a chair without hands, lifting light dumbbells or water bottles, using resistance bands, doing countertop push-ups, holding a wall, sit for 10-20 seconds, practicing step-ups on stairs. These simple movements, done consistently, can transform how you feel, how you move, and even how your brain functions. Because remember, muscle isn't just for motion, it sends powerful signals to your bones, brain, and heart. The science is clear. Study after study confirms the power of strength training after 70. One study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors who participated in regular strength training had a 46% lower risk of death from any cause. Strength training improves bone density, reducing your risk of fractures. It boosts balance and stability, cutting your fall risk in half. It improves glucose regulation, helping fight off type 2 diabetes. And it even boosts cognitive performance. Lifting can sharpen your mind. So if you've ever wondered, what's one thing I can do to stay young? This is it. Number 2. Balance and stability. The hidden lifeline to your independence. Let's move to something that isn't talked about nearly enough yet. It may be the most important predictor of whether someone in their 70s, 80s, or 90s lives independently, or ends up in a hospital bed. Balance. I want you to take a moment and ask yourself this. When was the last time you truly thought about your balance? Was it while reaching for something on the top shelf? Was it the last time you bent down to tie your shoes and felt just slightly unsteady? Or maybe you haven't noticed anything yet, and that's the most dangerous part. You see, balance doesn't usually go all at once. It slips quietly, gradually, until one day, you fall. The truth about falls. After 70, let me be clear. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in older adults. Not disease, not infection. Falls. More than 3 million seniors are treated in emergency rooms every year because of falls. And once you fall, especially after 70, the recovery can be long, painful, and sometimes incomplete. A broken hip at 75 can be the start of a permanent decline. But here's the part most people miss. Most falls aren't caused by weak legs. They're caused by weakened balance systems, tiny muscles in your feet, ankles, hips, and core that no longer respond as quickly or stabilize as well. And unfortunately, walking alone won't fix that. Why walking isn't balance training? It's easy to assume, well, I walk every day. That means my balance is good, right? Not quite. Walking is a rhythmic, repetitive movement. It doesn't challenge your body to stabilize in unusual positions or respond quickly to uneven ground, curbs, or sudden changes in motion. It doesn't force your brain and muscles to react in the unpredictable ways real life demands. Balance, on the other hand, is reactive. It's your body's internal GPS plus shock absorbers plus stabilizer bars all working in real time. And like any system, if you don't train it, you lose it. Edward's story. A close call. I'd like you to meet Edward. He's 76, a retired school principal who took pride in staying active. He walked his dog every morning, ate well, stayed socially engaged. But last year, something happened that shook him. While stepping off a curb downtown, his right foot landed awkwardly, just a little too far. In a split second, he lost his balance. Arms flailing, heart racing, stumbled forward, barely catching himself on a newspaper stand. He didn't fall, but he could have. And that moment stuck with him. He came into my clinic a few days later and said something I'll never forget. I didn't realize how vulnerable I'd become until my own body reminded me. We tested his balance, things like standing on one foot for 10 seconds, heel to toe walking in a straight line, shifting weight side to side with eyes closed. Edward failed most of them. And yet, he felt fine. He had no pain. He walked daily. But his balance system had been slowly deteriorating, and he never saw it coming. Why balance declines with age, and what to do about it. As you age, several things begin to change. The small stabilizer muscles around your ankles and hips weaken. Your inner ear, which controls spatial orientation, becomes less sensitive. Your reflexes slow down, meaning your body takes longer to correct a misstep. And your proprioception, your brain's sense of where your body is in space, becomes less sharp. But here's the good news. Just like with strength, balance can be rebuilt. In fact, many studies show that regular balance training can reduce fall risk by up to 50%, even in adults over 80. Number 3. Flexibility and mobility. The quiet keys to pain. Free living. Let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed until it's gone. Your ability to move freely and pain-free. You might not think of it every day, but the truth is your joints, your muscles, your tendons, all of them work in beautiful coordination just to help you do the simplest things. Turn your head to check for traffic. Reach up to grab a cup from the cabinet. Bend over to tie your shoe or pick up a dropped key. Now imagine this. What happens when those movements start to feel tight? What happens when you stop reaching, twisting, or bending because it's just not as comfortable as it used to be? That's what we call a slow loss of mobility. And it is one of the most underestimated threats to aging well. When the body begins to tighten, as we age, it's natural for our joints to lose fluid, for connective tissues to stiffen, and for muscles to shorten from disuse. This doesn't happen all at once. In fact, many people barely notice it at first. It might start with a little tightness turning your neck in the morning, a slight struggle to reach behind your back, to put on a coat, or a low back twinge when trying to pick something up off the floor. But here's the danger. When you begin to avoid those movements, when you stop rotating your spine, or opening your hips, or lifting your arms fully overhead, your range of motion shrinks. Your posture suffers. And over time, your ability to move with ease fades away. It's not just about stiffness, it's about independence. Because the moment you stop being able to move freely is the moment everyday tasks start to feel like obstacles. Walter's story. I didn't even realize I was stiff. I'll tell you about Walter, age 78. He was a proud walker every morning, rain or shine. He assumed that meant his joints were getting what they needed. But over time, he noticed some small things. He had to bend his knees deeper to reach the ground. Getting out of bed in the morning took more effort, and he'd walk it off for the first 20 minutes of the day. Turning to look behind him while driving felt tighter. He shrugged it off. Just getting older, he'd say. Until one day, he tried reaching to fasten his seatbelt and couldn't quite get it around without twisting awkwardly. That was his wake-up call. Not pain, not injury. Just the realization that his movement wasn't what it used to be. When he came to see me, we did a few simple range of motion tests and, sure enough, his shoulders, spine, and hip flexors were all significantly restricted. And yet, he walked daily. That's the key takeaway. Walking moves your legs, but it doesn't stretch your joints. It doesn't rotate your spine. It doesn't open your shoulders. It doesn't elongate your muscles. Mobility isn't just about moving. It's about moving well. Why flexibility and mobility matter more than you think. Here's what science and decades of patient experience tells us. Maintaining flexibility improves blood circulation. It reduces muscle and joint pain. It helps prevent compensatory movements that lead to injury, and it can dramatically improve posture, breathing, and even digestion. In fact, one large study from Japan found that seniors with greater flexibility, particularly in the spine and hamstrings, had significantly lower risk of falling and better functional independence scores than their stiff counterparts. Think of flexibility as the oil in your engine. Without it, everything grinds, stiffens, and eventually breaks down. Number 4. Core and posture, the silent foundation of strength and stability. Now let's talk about something that shapes every movement you make, even though you probably don't think about it very often: your core and your posture. Most people hear the word core and immediately think of six-pack abs or magazine fitness models. But that's not what we're talking about here. For those of us over 70, your core is not about vanity. It's about survival. Your core is the center of gravity in your body. It's the brace that holds your spine in alignment. It's the stabilizer that allows you to sit upright, walk tall, stand without swaying, and move without hurting your back. And if it weakens, your entire structure weakens with it. The foundation beneath everything else. I want you to picture a tree. A tall, beautiful tree can only stay upright in a storm if its trunk is strong. No matter how healthy the branches or how deep the roots, if the trunk is unstable, the entire tree leans, buckles, and eventually breaks. That's your core. It doesn't just help you do sit-ups. It supports your spinal alignment, your balance and coordination, your ability to stand, walk, bend, and rotate safely, and your posture, a literal shape of how you carry yourself in the world. Posture isn't just about appearance. It's about breathing, blood flow, energy, safety, and even self-confidence. When posture collapses, pressure increases on your lower back, your neck strains to compensate, and your knees and hips work overtime. The result? Discomfort, stiffness, fatigue, and a greater risk of injury. Harold's story: the weight of a weak core. Harold, one of my longtime patients, was 75 when he came to see me about some chronic lower back stiffness. He walked daily, ate well, even did some light stretching. But I noticed something immediately. When he sat in the chair, he slouched. When he stood, his shoulders rounded forward. When he walked, his steps were short and cautious, not confident. We did a few posture and core assessments. He couldn't hold a wall stand for more than a few seconds without feeling discomfort. He had trouble engaging his abdominal muscles while sitting upright. And when asked to lift one knee while standing still, he wobbled not because of leg weakness, but because his core wasn't stabilizing him. Harold had strong legs, but a weak foundation. And that's more common than you think. Signs your core and posture are slipping. You might not notice your core weakening until it's already causing issues. Here are some common red flags I see in patients over 70. Needing to lean forward when standing or walking. Lower back stiffness or discomfort, especially when upright for long periods. Feeling winded faster than usual. Poor posture limits breathing capacity. Trouble sitting up straight without support. A feeling of being off balance when moving quickly or turning. If any of these sound familiar, don't panic. The good news is, core strength and posture can be improved at any age. Even in your 80s or 90s, the right gentle movements can help rebuild your internal stability, reduce back pain, and make you feel more secure and energized in your body. Why it matters? Beyond just the back. Studies show that improved core activation leads to better gait stability, lower fall risk, fewer spinal injuries, and improved bladder control, digestion, and breathing. Yes, you read that right. Your abdominal muscles even help support internal organ function. This isn't about looks. It's about longevity, comfort, and confidence. And the best part, you don't need crunches, you don't need gym machines, you just need awareness and gentle, consistent activation of the muscles that keep your frame upright. Number 5. Joint protection and low impact movement. The art of moving without pain. Let me ask you something simple. How do your knees feel after a long walk? What about your hips after a day on your feet? Do your ankles ever feel stiff in the morning? Or maybe it's your lower back quietly protesting after doing errands? If you've ever shrugged it off as just part of getting older, you're not alone. But here's the truth. Joint pain is not an inevitable part of aging. It's often a sign of wear without recovery, of movement without protection, and sometimes walking without balance. That brings us to our final pillarone of the most important and misunderstood: joint protection and low-impact movement. Because moving your body is essential, but how you move it matters even more. The anatomy of wear and tear. Let's take a quick moment to understand what happens to your joints as you age. Each joint, whether it's your knee, hip, shoulder, or spine, is surrounded by cartilage that cushions the bones. Inside, there's a lubricant called synovial fluid that helps everything glide smoothly. The surrounding muscles act like shock absorbers. But over time, cartilage naturally wears thinner. Synovial fluid production slows. Muscle support weakens if unused. Now, imagine walking step after step on joints that aren't fully supported. Even a healthy habit like walking can become a repetitive stressor, especially when it's your only form of movement. When walking alone starts to hurt, let me be clear again. I'm not here to tell you to stop walking, but I am here to help you understand why walking alone may not be enough and might even be contributing to discomfort. You see, walking involves repetitive impact on the knees and hips, minimal variation in joint angles, limited activation of support muscles beyond the legs. For someone in their 70s or 80s, doing this day after day without any complementary movement like stretching, mobility work, or non-impact activities can slowly lead to inflammation, stiffness, and eventually, joint pain. Raymond's story. The daily walk that hurt more than helped. Raymond, 77, was a dedicated walker. He prided himself on getting his 8,000 steps every day. But over time, he began to notice that his knees ached by the evening. His lower back felt tight. He had to rest longer between errands, and mornings started with groaning his way out of bed. At first, he thought, well, I'm still walking every day. I should be doing better, not worse. So he walked more. But the pain got worse. That's when he came to me. And after just one conversation, it became clear Raymond was moving without support. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just doing too much of one thing and not enough of the right things to support it. The shift. From repetition to restoration. When we introduced low-impact, joint-friendly movements to Raymond's routine: swimming twice a week, chair yoga on Sundays, some simple hip and ankle mobility drills before bed, everything changed. Within 4 weeks, his knees stopped aching. His back felt more limber. And most importantly, he was still walking. But now, without pain. That's the power of respecting your joints. Of listening when your body whispers instead of waiting until it screams. So, here we are. You've made it through what I truly believe are the 5 most important lessons anyone over 70 can learn about their health. That muscle mass is your first line of defense against aging. That balance isn't guaranteed and can be rebuilt before it's lost. That mobility and flexibility are the oil in your joints, not just luxuries. That core strength and posture shape not just how you look, but how you feel. And that joint protective, low-impact movement is the art of moving without pain. If there's one message I hope you'll carry with you from this entire video, it's this. Movement alone isn't enough. The right kind of movement is what gives you your life back. Getting older doesn't mean getting weaker. I've been a doctor for more than 30 years, and the biggest myth I've seen people believe is that aging means decline, that it's normal to slow down, to lose strength, to feel stiff, to hurt. But what I've learned, and what I've seen in hundreds of patients says this: aging means changing. But change doesn't have to mean losing. Your body still wants to move well. It still wants to be strong. It just needs a little help, a little intention, and maybe a new direction. A simple question for you right now. Take a moment, right now, and ask yourself, do I feel as strong as I'd like to? Do I trust my body to catch me if I stumble? Do I move with ease? Do I hesitate, compensate, or push through discomfort? Do I rely only on walking to stay healthy? Have I ignored stiffness, aches, or balance issues, thinking they're just age? If the answer to any of those is yes, please know this: you can change it. Starting today, it's never too late, and it doesn't take a lot. Here's the beautiful part about every tip we've shared. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need to move like you did at 30. You just need consistency, a chair, a wall, a little curiosity, and most of all, a decision to start. Because once you begin even with 5 minutes a day, you'll start to feel it. A bit more strength in your legs, a bit more confidence in your step, a bit more freedom in your shoulders and spine, a bit more you returning to the surface. That's not just movement. That's reclaiming your independence.